He's a
This is a cricket
paint
Jenny
cross
Walker here.
that I picked up Christmas time last year, um, a year ago, 2016. So I've had him about a year. I kind of rushed him to start with. He'd had just a couple months work on him. Thought he might be good for my grandson because he didn't seem to care much about most anything. And so I kind of was getting him, I did some in hand work with him. And this is what I'm doing right now, trying to get him to walk on and stretch. He But I rode him walk and trot, was hoping that, my grandson could ride him. But he had some biting issues, and so I ended up not, that he wasn't going to be ready for my 10-year-old grandson. So anyway, so I've kept working him. He's a great little guy. It's kind of fun. And as you can see, I've gotten him stretching. He can walk more energetically than this, and um, I'm working on that. The other day when I had him out, he did a much better job. So we're getting there. Um, for a while, he didn't even want me to get on, so I had Karen out and come fit the saddle. And then I had the chiropractor out. He was kind of locked up in the hind end, and so he got some time off, and then we're kind of starting again. But he has gotten to the point where he's willing to stretch like this, which is nice because he had no idea what any of this was about. He just was, thank goodness the gal that rode him did ride him on a loose rein, but she pretty much just bombed him around out on the trails and whatnot. So he would come into the arena thinking that that's all he was going to do is bomb around. So, and when we start to lunge, you'll see that he is beginning to lunge. I used to have to just take him to the round pen because there was no control. He'd try to rip away. So once I got back from Spokane and started him up again down here, all I would do in the arena is bring him down. I'd do the working hand, and then I would walk him on the lunge line. And it was a very short lunge line. And he would still, on occasion, try to rip away from me. And we just go back to the walk, and try to stretch. So we've pretty much gotten past that. He will still try to rip away at times, but not like he used to. So we are progressing, and this walk is great, and the stretch is great. I just would like more swing out of him. He's got, I have not cantered him on the lunge line either. So we will work up to that, but he's not ready. So here he is. I've switched over to lunging, and we're on the right side. He does much better starting with the right side because he will tend to stay away from me. On the left side, it's like he just wants to hover on me. And with this guy and his temperament, he's willing to fight you every step of the way. So if I really were to get after him, he just then is ready to, not, come after me or anything, but to rip away, to protect himself in any way that he thinks he can because he thinks, people aren't that great. So as you see on the right here, he will go out and stay away from me. And so we do this side first because this is what we're learning to do. Again, I would like more walk. And I do use the whip, but again, with this particular little boy, he's ready to, just go against you if he thinks he's being unfairly worked with. So I I can touch him with the whip and all of that. And what he tends to mostly do is when I ask him into the trot, he will give me this ugly face, and of course that's not very good either. I don't know if he did it this particular day. He does it more on the left than he does on the right. So, we just kind of go around here, and you can see him shaking his head, and there he goes. But he's learned that he doesn't get away anymore. He did initially, but now he doesn't, and he doesn't go as hard at it. But he does like to give you his opinion about lots of stuff. So we're trying to reform his opinions on things. So it's very, very slow and very, I want to say gentle, but it's not in a way. But I work with him and, try not to bringing to that point. I try to just keep working gently with him so that he learns that none of this is a bad thing, and that he learns to trust. And again, he tried something there again, so I got after him again. So it's not that I don't get after him. And by doing that, he did give me a little canter there, but I don't ask for canter yet. We're not anywhere near ready. And a lot of, I'll work him at the trot on the lunge line, walk and trot, and there I'm down to the walk. And the side reins sometimes I think could be longer, but because of his, attitude at this point, he can stretch nicely down on that length. And so until we are just really secure in what we're doing and he feels very secure, I'm not going to go any longer. But if the camera is such when I ask him to trot again, and we'll see, see there he shakes his head and I tell him, nope, move on, and then he'll settle. But I don't whip him because that would just bring up his the ugly side of him. And I want to try to get rid of that ugly side. I want him to trust and, work with me, with people. I have no idea. This year is 2018, so he's 7 now, and had only been worked with a couple months as a 6-year-old. So, he'd just been in herd life and he had bad teeth and stuff. So, his trust of people is not that great. So we're working so that he hopefully, he wanted to do it there. And normally he doesn't do it that much to the right. He's more willing to the right, and that was better. So, it's as we all know, it's a very slow progress to get the horse. And ponies definitely have their own personalities, much different than horses. I rode a bunch of ponies when I was in England, and of course they all have their personalities. They can all be bulky, when they want to, and be strong-willed. And I always figured part of it is because they're small and they think sometimes they're being taken advantage of by human beings, so they've kind of developed themselves so that they don't let people take advantage of them. So I try to be firm but consistent and you know, I don't want to just beat him to do things. I want him to learn to willingly work with me, with whoever. But you can see he's getting there, and he's got quite a nice little spring to his step. And I think as he gets better at this, that will even improve. So he's got quite a nice long stride. He's only, what, 13.3, I think. He's got a nice long stride for being little. I don't feel too big on him. I may be, but, well, sure, ponies are built to take, weight and work. So I'm not worried about that, and I'm not worried about that in the canter either, because by the time we get there, he'll be a lot stronger than he is. So we're going to switch to the other side, and you may see more of this nasty face that he gives. I mean, he rolls his eyes in the back of his head, pins his ears, and just gives me an ugly face. When I got him, his ears were almost always pinned. You asked him to trot, pin his ears, and so that's kind of, and besides the mouthy biting that he liked to do, that's one of the reasons I didn't think he would be that great for my 10-year-old. But I really like him, so I am keeping him, and if I ever have any other grandchildren, then he might, work for them. But we'll see. See, he's not. So here we go. We're trying to keep him out. He's gotten better about staying out on the left. I used to have to, of course, walk away from him and shake the whip at his shoulder. But once I realized that and see that you can see him there, and it's move on, get over this. And I tell him, quit giving me that ugly face and move on. And then he'll settle. But, so... but he's fun. He's quite a personality, and he's a lot of fun. And you can see there, he moves along. He's got a nice stride to him. So, and he's got a nice shoulder in front of him. So I don't feel like I'm dropped off in the front. Some ponies or even some horses you get on, and it's like there's nothing in front of you. There is something in front of you on this little guy. And so that's one of the reasons I picked him up and, and continue to work with him. He will probably make a great little hunter jumper for somebody someday if I ever let go of him. But I used to call him my little boy, and he told me he did not like that. So I call him my little man, and he likes that. He likes being called a little man, and he's okay with that part. So we're having a good time, and you can see there he wants to, and I can hang on to him. When he first did this, it was very, very, very strong. And so I went just back to the round pen where, we lunged for a long time. And then I might come back, and then I would ride him over there, and then sometimes bring him back over here to the arena. But I get bored over there in the round pen riding for very long, even though I probably could have just kept him at the long walk for a long time, but I don't know. I am sometimes not that patient, but I really like the fact that when I bring him back down to a trot, that he's pretty much just going into that long, stretchy walk. And once he's trotted once, he's like, you want me to what again? And so sometimes getting him back up takes a little bit more firmness. Okay, well, here I am riding him, and I get myself squared away up there. And he's got a pretty good depth of girth, so I don't feel, I mean, I'm not that tall. I'm only 5'4", so, and don't have the longest legs in the world. But, so again, I don't feel like I don't have leg on him because he has a good depth of girth there. And you can see here we're doing our walk and trying to, relax and stretch. So that was it.